Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to Cap and Trade, episode 45. Running solo for a couple minutes. The compadre, Mr. Landry Locker, is running a few minutes behind, so we'll get going without him, and then I'm sure whenever he becomes available, he'll join in. Appreciate everybody joining in and listening in. Got a few folks already on the YouTube stream watching in, and got some folks over on Twitter Spaces. Got that up and going. So, well, alrighty. Guess it would help if I sent Landry another invite. So we'll get him going. Oh, appreciate it, Serge. I've been trying to find a better intro to appease Mr. Landry. He didn't like last week, so. But yeah, no, I appreciate everybody listening in. We'll get going here. Landry should be hopping on any minute now. Yeah, another one. Good. TJ, I missed the new intro. No. Well, let's just play it again. Why not? It's for fun. Real quick. I still like this one. There you go. So, Serge, he probably would say it, so we won't play it again for him. He probably would. He probably would say that was. I
don't want to hear it.
Huh?
I don't want to hear your intro. That was my whole strategy here.
Yeah.
Was it bad?
No, it was great. I'm getting a lot of good comments on it. Everybody seems to like it. So
there you go. How many is a lot? 2?
4 so far. So.
Okay, there you go. That's solid.
Yeah. Four positive reports on it. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm very good.
We are back. Episode 45, Cap and Trade. Live on YouTube, live on Twitter. Got Twitter Spaces going. So wherever you're at, listening in, watching in, we appreciate you joining us. Texans lost again, but that's fine. We appreciate the losses at this point in time. But it was probably about 43 minutes of good football, followed by 5 minutes of not so good football. And it was not unsurprising to see the Cowboys, drive down like that towards the end. But I think what's more concerning, I think, for a lot of folks is the red zone play calling once again. The first quarter, they did it right. Gave Pierce the ball. He scored. But that whole train of events that went down in the fourth quarter was, and I understand Pierce was hurt, but, there's a lot of confusion. Got people blocking the wrong way, running back and quarterback going opposite directions. It's just another little bow tie to what's been going on with this coaching staff all year. And it just seems to continue on week after week, have issue after issue. And now we've got Lovie Smith kind of contradicting himself during press conferences. He's not really wanting to blame the defense. He's more so kind of blaming the offense without directly saying it. It's kind of passive aggressive at the mic now. And I don't know. It's getting close to the end of the season. It looks like everybody's getting wore out, including the coaching staff. And, I think everybody's just kind of waiting for the end of the season at this point.
Yeah. Look, we can get into the end of the game. I don't see why Lovie Smith keeps bringing that up and ignoring the fact that he gave up a 98-yard drive in 2 minutes and 39 seconds or whatever it was. And the middle of the field was just wide ass open. And he brings up, we didn't have our starting corners. Well, Pep Hamilton didn't have his starting receivers. And the best coaching decision that was made in this game that I think impacted the game the most was the one Pep Hamilton made to bring in Jeff Driskel. I don't know that they score a touchdown without Jeff Driskel. So, yeah, I think Pep Hamilton stinks as an offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a good offensive coordinator. I think he might be worse than Tim Kelly. But Lovie Smith as a defensive coordinator, let's not act like this defense just completely set the world on fire the other day. It's easy, and Pep Hamilton is frustrating, but teams get stopped on fourth down every once in a while. You see that often. 98-yard drives in 2 minutes and 37 seconds or whatever, with the middle of the field wide open. I mean, you can make a case that might be even more rare than getting stopped on 4th and 1. I feel like I see a 4th and 1 stop at least every ball game, especially when you don't have Damian Pierce, and especially when Rex Burkhead's your backup running back.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem to want to take complete ownership over it. I mean, get up there and we got to execute. However frustrated he seems to get during the press conferences at this point, it just seems to get surlier and surlier every week. But there just doesn't seem to be any ownership on his part. I mean, yes, he is the head coach, but he's also the defensive coordinator, and he's not taking ownership of that piece. And Pep, he was the better coach this game. That's pretty clear. I mean, it was interesting to see the 2 quarterback system. That would kind of, I'm sure it didn't catch some people by surprise, at least the media folk that see some of the practice time, at least the first part that's open to them. But it was a surprise to some of the fans, including me, to see the Driskel cat and combination with Mills. So, it looks like that's here to stay, at least for this coming week. We'll see. At least for this coming week, it seems like. I mean, at least they're talking it up. They have no problem answering questions, or at least Davis Mills today had no problems answering.
That was questions. More than the Driskel cat, though. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah,
that wasn't like a Driskel cat. That was a rotation.
Yeah, it was a 60-40 rotation pretty much between the two of them. And I mean, like you said, it wasn't just a Driskel cat. He wasn't in there just for zone read and short down conversions. He threw a touchdown pass, which is kind of, I mean, it's good to see, but compared to what we saw in training camp with Driskel,
hell of a play too, by the way.
Yeah, for him and both Amari Rodgers.
Is that the best play a quarterback's made this year?
No, it's probably top 3 for this team, but yeah, I think Mills has probably got a couple more throws that are a little bit better. But that one being on the run, and yeah, it was a good combination play. So, but we'll see how long the 2 quarterback system stays. It sounds like they're going to give it another shot at Kansas City, but I feel like it's going to run its course pretty quickly. I don't know how long they'll be able to stick with it. I don't know that Lovie, but Pep has the full creativity to really dive deep into the playbook to continue this type of setup and be successful. And then on top of that, Damian Pierce is not going to be around, so we'll see who's going to get the bulk of the carries. I saw your poll that you put on Twitter. Who's going to get the most carries? And
I got a bet with Lopez on it too, $20.
Who'd you put your money on?
I took Dari.
I think that's probably a good bet. I responded to your tweet too, and that it's a difference between who should and who will.
Especially here.
Yeah, I think we all know that Dari should get the bulk of the carries, but will he is the question. And then they let go of Benjamin. And so it's going to be the Burkhead Dari show, and then maybe Gokes will get elevated up for the game. But with the history that this team has with new signings, well, I guess Gokes is not that new. He spent 9 weeks here prior to this, so I don't know that he'll get any carries or not. But hopefully Dari will get a chance to kind of showcase a little bit of his work. He's under contract through next year as well, so be good to see him get a little work out there. But I don't think we'll see Cooks this week. I'm not entirely sure we'll see him for the rest of the year. And then, Collins, we'll see if he makes it back. But it's a big game for Chris Moore. Good to see him getting out there, getting that work in. His 2 most productive games this year has come when he's been the primary wide receiver, obviously, just from volume, but when he's working both inside and outside. If he's just working just as the primary slot, just doesn't seem to get open quite as much, but he gets a little bit of work on the outside. He does a little bit better. So it's kind of becoming a little candidate for me to re-sign as a potential depth, wide receiver 4 type of player next year on this roster.
Good special teams player too.
Yeah.
Down the punt inside the 5.
Yeah. But hey, it was weird. We talk about all the players that they claim that never get to play, but they claimed a player on Tuesday and he saw the field this weekend with Stallworth. So we'll see. But no, it was, another loss, but
It was a good loss.
Yeah, it
I
was a
did
good
not
loss.
don't let your pride get in the way of saying that you hope they won that game. Stop.
No, I wasn't going to. I thought
No,
I
not
thought
you. I'm
they-
talking about was the perfect result. They looked competent, they looked solid, and they lost. So the number one pick is still in firm control. The win maybe will get closer to where you can maybe spoil Tennessee season or something like that. The good news now, Denver's favored against Arizona, and Denver has no incentive to lose really because they don't even have their first round pick.
No.
So Denver favored over Arizona. If they can win, you'll get them out of the way. I don't think Chicago is going to win anytime soon. Justin Fields is kind of hurt. So, but yeah, that was a good result for the long term.
Yeah. So oh, that's right. And then Colt McCoy, I guess, is the new quarterback in Arizona.
I don't say I guess. You should know that, sir.
Yeah. But
legend right there.
Yeah, that's right. University of Texas. Man. Well, we'll see what happens. I think I haven't even looked at the line to see what it is.
14.
Okay, it is 14. Yeah, I see that now. I thought it'd be a little bit harder, but I guess that's the home field 2.5 point bump. They were 17-point dogs in Dallas, so they're here playing in Houston this time, so maybe they get the couple points bump. But it's going to be very tough to. Oh, I say it should be very tough for them to cover, and they covered it pretty easily last week. So I don't know. I think the confidence is low. I think that was probably the high point for this team, and they're just going to come back down. It almost like kind of deflate from that performance. Like they gave it their all, 110%, and just came up short. It's kind of be like, then what's the point? So you're starting to, you see some of the players making a few business decisions when it comes to making tackles. So I don't know.
What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know.
What's the matter with you, dude? You need to talk about something?
No.
You seem a little put off.
No, I'm not put off. I'm good, man.
What's wrong with you, dude?
How are
disappointed?
With what?
I don't know.
I have nothing to be disappointed about. I
heard that. I don't know. What's wrong? Talking football, man.
I know.
4 weeks of season left. You need to be excited.
Yeah. Got a couple questions coming in. So how are you guys feeling on Agbo and Rasheem Green as candidates to come back next year? So
Agbo looks good, man. Agbo looks like a player. He looks like a guy who can be a rotational guy.
Yeah, last 3 games he's really put in the work. They're two completely different players. Agbo's more of a speed rusher, smaller guy, and Rasheem Green is the more prototypical 4-3, bigger defensive end. But I think at this point, you would rather probably bring back Agbo if you had to choose between the two. I mean, Rasheem Green, he started off well, and then he got injured, a little bit towards the first part of the season, and is just kind of working his way back. But yeah, I think Agbo is definitely going to be a potential re-sign candidate. And then, like we talked about, Chris Moore might be one of the others, but there's not very many re-sign candidates on this roster. We'll say
you don't want to bring back Burkhead?
No. No, there's plenty of other options.
Oh, are there?
Free agency, there's going to be some.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I've been talking about how weak the free agency class is. Running back actually does have a few names coming out in free agency. If the team does not draft another guy, which I think we've talked about on here plenty of times, of how they need to take a running back pretty early. I'll even concede taking one in the first round if they traded back from, whatever pick they're getting up with Cleveland.
Wow, this is big.
Pick 12.
This
13,
is big,
14.
man.
Running back at 12 or 13, 14. But if they trade
back,
you're
thinking Gibbs? You think a little Gibbs action?
If they trade back to like late, like 30.
This is big.
30-ish, hey.
Okay.
I will allow it. How about that?
I like it. I like it. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up for some Gibbs.
Yeah. If you got any questions, comments, throw them up on the board. We'll get to everything as much as we can, as we usually do. And if you're listening over on Twitter Spaces, hit that request button if you want to speak. And if you don't want to and you want to tweet at the show on there as well, go ahead. But we'll try to get to as much as we can this week or this show. Got still a few things to cover, especially between the NFL. And there's a couple of things I wanted to pick your brain on. But as for quarterback, I know definitely the talk of the town is Caleb Williams winning the Heisman, and the continued discussion of whether or not waiting for Caleb Williams, which I'm completely against. There's no guarantee that that's going to work out. I think there's too big of a lost opportunity to pass up on a quarterback this go around to try to push out and wait for Caleb Williams. But at this point,
that conversation exhausts me.
I know it's getting more out, but I think I saw a couple of tweets today or yesterday that right now most of the betting boards are split between Stroud and Young, both I think at like plus 150. Going number
Where's
one.
Levis,
I think was like 15-1, something like that. He was like 6 or 7 on board, but
they must not have seen that flat-footed 50-yard toss video that is going around the internet.
Yeah, that's what got Zach Wilson up the board when he made
Jamarcus Russell action.
Yeah. So I can't figure out the Will Levis thing. He's his agent's already kind of putting the work in. I saw one tweet that NFL evaluators are pegging him as the number one quarterback. And, we've talked about it before, is how is Caserio going to value? Is he going to value production over traits? You go back and you look at New England's draft history when he was up there. They never took a quarterback that was under 6 foot.
I mean, come on, no.
And we know Belichick runs the show up there, but Caserio still had a lot of input in the draft. And I just don't know if we just don't know. We don't know how he's going to look at Bryce Young, if that's, something he's willing to invest the number one pick in. But I certainly don't think they need to be getting cute or anything with it at this point.
No, they need to take a quarterback, and there's a lot of reasons. First one is the actual quarterback's available. So you need to do that. Second is you have extra draft equity. So it's not like if you had just normal draft equity and you take a quarterback and you're not going to add something else in the next round. And I also think that the fan excitement matters. I know some people don't think it does. I think it does. And you can take it for what it's worth. I mean, I'm not like just shooting from the hip. I'm at every game. We talk, like, it matters. Like, trust me, it matters. It's not the end all be all. Like, if it were last year's draft, I wouldn't be saying draft a quarterback number one. Like, I wouldn't say Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, but with these quarterbacks, with everything you have, you've got to take the quarterback at one. And I do think that the fan excitement does matter. And I don't think the fan excitement like goes away if the quarterback doesn't work out. And if you draft well with the other assets you have, it's not like a complete fall off. It's not like you're investing everything in this quarterback. And I also think these guys, whichever one they decide, could end up being pretty good. So you have to take the quarterback at this point. I don't need smartest guy in the room, think like a scout type. I'm not down with that with this situation. I'm just not. Just get the quarterback. And it's it just makes too much sense
to because the argument is like building around him. Well, I could understand that sentiment if you had to move up in this draft and utilize additional assets to move up in the draft to get the quarterback, but you're not having to do that here. And so you still got the pick from Cleveland that you can either take that pick at that slot or move back and get more assets. You got 2 more picks in the first round next year. I mean, you've got plenty of ammunition to move around this draft and build up around the number 1 overall draft pick that if you go quarterback that route. So I don't really get that argument. And then like we've talked about before with waiting for Williams, the likelihood of this team finishing worst again next year if they didn't draft a quarterback number 1 overall, I think is a very low percentage. And so
that's a terrible way to look at things.
And right. And that's what I'm saying is you're end up going to have to utilize additional assets to move up next year for Williams in all likelihood. So
it's just silly.
yeah, just, is what it is.
If it happens, it happens. If they pass a quarterback, that's fine. But if they're like, oh, we don't want to take one because we're going to cross our fingers for Caleb Williams, that's just silly.
And the rookie contracts allow you to get out from underneath and not take a huge hit. We see it just like with Arizona. If for some reason you take Bryce Young and it's just a complete shit show or whatever it may be, you'll still have enough ammunition to make a move next year or draft one of the other guys next year. So it's not completely unheard of to take a quarterback the following year if the first one doesn't work out. And, hopefully you would give Bryce Young a little more time than 1 year, but that was an odd situation in Arizona. But, it's not unheard of. And the rookie wage scale gives you that opportunity to make moves sooner versus, the older days where teams were investing 50, 60, $70 million guaranteed up front for the top overall pick. So we'll see what happens. Got a few folks got requests in over on Twitter Spaces, so we'll try to get a couple of those here now. So we'll go over to King J. Let me remember how to do this. So King J, go ahead, sir, over on Twitter Spaces.
Hey, how you doing? First and foremost, I just want to say I really enjoy the show. I definitely like what you guys talk about, so thank you for
Appreciate
giving
that.
me the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Man, I'm pretty much just gonna vent here, man, because I've been a fan of this team since 2002, the Dom Capers era. And man, like it's just been this season has just been very disappointing. But I remember your last episode, you were saying, whenever things don't go right for the team, don't let it bring down your day. And yeah, man, it's just been very frustrating to watch, man. Like, but I thought with Lovie coming in as the head coach, I thought, things would kind of turn around, especially with his expertise, especially like, defensively. I thought Pep Hamilton, with his expertise as far as, developing players, and, I thought the play calling was going to be pretty good this year. But it's just been disappointing, man. And, I'm hoping that, with going into the draft, I definitely agree with you guys as far as, getting a quarterback, starting off with a quarterback first and then just building around that. I mean, because, most of these rookie quarterbacks that do come in, usually they already have players that are, already implemented within the system that they bring in through like free agency or do they do during the draft. And then that helps like, build the team up from there. So really, man, with us, of course, I looking at it, we pretty much locked up the first pick, draft the quarterback from there, build around that quarterback. So he's set up for success. Because obviously, right now there's no success on the field. Brandon Cooks is literally, calling out of work every week. And it's just, just watching this is disappointing. So I just hope that, going into next season, I know it's not going to be like, a complete turnaround, but I just hope we start trending upwards versus trending downwards. So, yeah.
All right. I appreciate it, Jay.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of folks feel that way. I think there was some genuine excitement heading into this season with the coaching staff. I think Lovie, and we've talked about it here, that Lovie was the right coach at the time to get this team moving in the positive direction. The new media input that the team had with the McNairs and their exposure and just all the things they were doing to try to bring the fans back in. And I think Lovie was a critical piece of that to get this team past the Deshaun Watson piece and get moving forward in the right direction. He was the right person for that, but it was, he's just not the right person to take it beyond what he's gotten this team to. And I think a lot of folks were excited for Pep Hamilton just from his history with Indianapolis and with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. And, the type of play calling that he was going to bring to the fold. And, you hear Davis Mills at training camp of how simplistic compared to Tim Kelly's offense, how it was going to be. And, there's just a lot of excitement every which way. And then just did not get any return on value. And I think that, Jay's sentiment is pretty equal across the fan base. It's just at this point, just completely disappointed. And ready to move on. And, I don't think there's any chance that this coaching staff is in place next year. I think they'll make another move. Well, there's a lot of stories out there of who made the decision to hire Lovie, who made the decision to hire Coley, and who should get to hire the next head coach, because it's unheard of that a GM would get a third head coach in 3 years. So I don't know. Well, I think we just got to get past these 4 games, try to enjoy them as best you can, and then move forward and start looking towards free agency, potentially new coaching staff, and a pretty overturned roster once again.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I don't have much more to add to it. I don't really care who hired the coach. Like, I don't even hold the hires against Nick Caserio, because it's not that costly. Like, you're clearing out your assets. You're going to have more cap space. You're going to have more draft stuff. You're in a better situation than you were the last 2 years. I don't care who did. Like, and for the situation that they were in, it's fine. Like, but like these made up rules where you can't do this, and you can't hire this many coaches, and just shut up. Like, I mean, like, there's not that. Is there rules that you can't trade your best fucking player for David Johnson in a second round pick and give Eric Murray and Whitney Merciless and who am I missing? Like Randall Cobb, Nick shitty contracts. Like, I don't care about like this made up, like, you can't hire a coach. You can't hire a third coach. Like, okay. I mean, if you think that, that's fine, but you're literally just making something up. Yeah. I mean, we know it's a unique situation. I don't hold this against Caserio at all. Like,
it always makes me wonder, like, there was always the question, like, why is he doing all these 1-year contracts? Why is everything only 1 or 2 years? Well, I'm not saying he had the foresight.
Yeah, you tried to ask Easterby that in the freaking chat, you goofball. I saw that when I was watching it. God,
take my shot.
I'm sitting there trying to watch the Jack Easterby bleep show thing, and all of a sudden I see your big mug out there with a question about, why did you give these 1 or 2 year contracts?
I wanted to know. But I was to say that, like, it's not. I don't think it was because Caserio had the foresight that he was going to know.
Think you were going to shoot your shot and me not notice? Yeah, Troy.
Apparently, nothing gets past you, sir. But well, but it might end up working out in the fact that if they have to bring in a new coach, potentially a new system, you don't have all those players under contract again. So it'll be another busy off season.
I mean, and that's the other thing. Like, we talk about these coaches, like, and it's hilarious because, and it's not the same people. So I'm not going to have like that mystery whataboutism conversation, but the dialogue around hiring a coach, you hear, and it's not the same people. I'm not going to do what some of you weirdos do on Twitter, where you say the same people that say this, say that, and you can't give me one example of it. So it's like that weak ass whataboutism. But it is interesting though, like, as you respect everyone's opinion about the coaching search, like, no matter what it is, like, everybody has an opinion. And I think most opinions are valid 99% of the time, because it's sports, it's serious, it ain't that serious. But when you're talking about the coach, you hear often, well, if they draft a quarterback, you got to draft a coach that fits with that quarterback. You got to get a coach that fits in with that quarterback. You got to get the system. And then you look at the hires that they made that were short-term hires. Maybe the fact that they didn't have their quarterback yet had something to do with that, because you know that it's going to be a short-term thing. So you hire someone like David Coley, you hire someone like Lovie Smith before you get the cap space, and then you get your quarterback in the right situation. So maybe there's just a little bit of something to that, and the dialogue, like, you can kind of connect that as to why maybe whoever decided to hire David Coley and Lovie Smith as head coaches. Maybe, don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Kind of get worked up about that, but yeah.
No, it's okay, sir.
It is, man. It's all good. It's all good.
No, it's an interesting just case study to, like with Rick Smith, it was always 3-year windows. And then Nick, is preaching just this year. You kind of look towards next year, but never beyond 2 years. And so it's just a completely different mindset of contract structure and roster building that we see with, transitioning from Rick Smith to that little weird gap in time where it was Brian Gaines / O'Brien, but, and then moving over to Caserio. So, but I definitely don't see Caserio being gone after this year at this point, but, I think his seat might get a little warmer if this team doesn't start to show any kind of progression next year. It'll be his last opportunity, especially with the coach hire. So we'll see how that goes. Got one question over on Twitter. What happened to our $5 million $5 million center? Are we paying him to retire after one game? Do you think that's cap malpractice? That was just one of the very, very bad.
It was a weird signing to begin with.
Yeah, it was a very bad re-signing. There's 2 or 3 players on this roster that were re-signed from last year that are.
That one was weird though.
Why?
Britt?
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't good.
First of all, he stunk last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't good. His knees were bad. He barely played half the season, and
he
they
couldn't
brought him
walk.
back, and he barely participated in training camp.
Cap, he literally couldn't walk. Like I compared him to Matt Khalil in 2019 with how he looked at camp. And I'm not saying that like to be a jerk. That's how he was moving. He didn't play well. And he got his butt kicked in week 1. And as frustrating as Questenberry can be at times, he's better.
Yeah, I mean, he's still replacement level at best, but he was better and he's available. He's not either injured or taking the mental health days or whatever we're going to call them, but it seems like they're just going to let him ride out the rest of the year on NFI, the non-football illness. I think they're not paying him 100% of his salary, but pretty close to it. And he'll probably just retire after this year. So we'll see. Rolling with Britt and Roy Lopez as starters. What's the problem with Roy Lopez?
Too skinny, man. Too skinny. Too skinny. He got too skinny, man. He was better fat.
Too skinny? Oh, he was more
better fat.
He was a fat boy last year.
Look, Roy Lopez is a rotational guy. And unfortunately on this team, he's being asked to do a lot. I think in the long term, it's going to make him a better player. I think he's building character. I think he's actually had some pretty good games lately. And I think Roy Lopez right now, probably not the ideal place you want him to be, but I think he's going to be a good player for this team. And I think he's going to be a contributor for at least the next couple of years. So I'm not too worried about Roy. Yeah.
And being a 6th-round pick, that's still really good value to get a good rotational player out of a 6th-round pick. So, I mean, they can't always be DJ Readers. All right, so
too soon.
It's always going to be too soon for that. He's finally back healthy, and he is playing once again very, very well in Cincinnati.
Too soon.
All right, so we'll jump over to Twitter Spaces. We got Joey, that Texas guy, patiently waiting. Joey, what you got, man?
Hey, how's it going? So just a few things. So there's a big part of the fan base that wants to wait for Caleb Williams. And a lot of the people that want to wait for him are what we call Mills super fans, where they support
Mills Mafia.
Mills Mafia, yeah. They want Mills to get an extra year, which I don't think he should, but whatever. And the biggest thing is if we pass, and a lot of those guys are saying, oh, Bryce is too small, Bryce is too short. But Bryce is listed as 6 foot, and Caleb is listed as 6'1". So there's only a few inches difference in height. And I don't think there's a big gap between those two guys.
I don't think there's a gap at all. I mean, I think Bryce Young's a better player.
Yeah, I think his processing is. I mean, Williams is making plays off of just his athleticism and good arm. I think
Does Caleb remind you guys of Kyler a little bit, the way his play style in college is?
Yeah, he's extended. Well, I mean,
Kyler's fast.
Kyler was faster, and I think he was a little more accurate.
And he's thick, like Caleb. Like the height, I will say, like if you're talking size, I think it has as much to do with the weight. I'm not as concerned about it as a lot of people, but Caleb is built a little thicker than Bryce.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't. Absent the athleticism that you're seeing out of Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young is just as athletic, but I think he's just a more refined quarterback. It seems like Williams is more like playing by the seat of his pants. You know, he's playing like his legs are on fire, and he is just all over the place. And I just don't know if that's going to calm down at all when he gets to the next level. I don't know if he's feeling pressure too early, or if I don't know how good the offensive line is over there at USC, but it just seems to be he's always scrambling all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's great and all, but you still need a pocket passer at the end of the day to run a good system.
Yeah. And it also, there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, we got to build the roster up before you get a quarterback. But the thing is you have 6 first-round picks in 3 years. Not a lot of teams get that. And if you take – a lot of people are making it seem like if you take Bryce number 1, we don't have any other draft picks. We have 3 picks in the first 32. So you can draft Bryce and still build around him. And people are like, oh, the offensive line is horrible and he'll get hit a lot. But the offensive line there's only 2 positions on the offensive line that really need to be upgraded, and that's center and right guard.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
I feel like Green in a better system, if we do hire a new offense coordinator, with a full offseason, I feel like he can be better.
Yeah.
Preach, man. 100%.
And we get rid of Cooks, add in another younger receiver, and I feel like this team could be much improved next year. It just doesn't make sense for Nick to go and not draft a quarterback and tank another season. His job would be on the line. Like that, it doesn't make sense to do that.
Yep. No,
I'm with you, man. Preach, man. Seriously, I 100% agree. I think Kenyon Green needs an offseason. You only need 2 offensive linemen. You have really good tackles.
I don't think Green's healthy. I think ever since the Raiders game, he's just not fully healthy, and it's hitting his performance a little bit.
And I'll say this too. There's a guy at USC that I want. It ain't Caleb Williams. I want Addison. I think Addison's going to end up being maybe the best receiver. I think it's between him and Smith and Jigba. I know a lot of people are really talking about Johnston because he's in front of you. And you're probably not watching a lot of Addison, or you're too focused on Caleb Williams. But Addison I like him a lot as a receiver, and I like Smith and Jigba too. And I think we're kind of forgetting how damn good he is.
Is he draft eligible, or is he one more year?
Who, Addison?
Addison.
I think he's draft eligible.
Okay.
Why is he not?
I don't know. I was just asking.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. Yeah, okay. He's a junior.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he's a junior. He's good. It's not Bowers, and it's not Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Addison's good to go, man. I think Addison's gonna be a hell of a player. The Caleb Williams thing, I like Caleb Williams, but I don't think he's better than Bryce at all. I think if you put Bryce Young at USC right now, he's doing the same damn thing. Like, it is Lincoln Riley. Like Lincoln Riley, Baker Mayfield won a Heisman and Kyler Murray won a Heisman with him. And I'm not saying those guys are trash or anything, but look, if you don't want to take a quarterback, you don't want to take a quarterback. But this, let's wait for Caleb Williams. Come on. Let's stop that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, maybe Williams has a slightly better arm, but Young can make all the throws. He's got plenty of arms, so
yeah, he's got a rocket for sure. But so does Bryce.
Yep. Grenard. Oh, wrong one. So we need to see Grenard. Are we going to see him this year?
Yes.
He is back to practice. They did the official return to practice designation for him. So I don't know if we'll see him this week or not. It'd be kind of nice.
I don't think we see him this week.
Yeah. One more. All right.
But we'll see him. We'll see him for sure.
The wait for Caleb Williams is stupid. Yep. That's
it's outrageous, honestly. Like, if you want to wait on the quarterback and you don't like any of these guys, okay. But let's start playing for Caleb Williams.
yeah. I mean,
The hell?
yeah. All right.
I mean, it's hard enough to hold on to the number 1 pick when they're this bad. Like, I mean, I'm kind of looking at, I keep creeping on Chicago and Denver. Like, it's hard enough. I mean, what are we saying?
Yeah, I mean, and Joey said the same thing we've been talking about. You've got a ton of draft picks this year, next year, and you might be able to, generate more draft picks if you end up trading back. So I think there's plenty of ammunition between draft and free agency to build around the quarterback that you drafted number 1 overall. Free agency is going to be a little tough, especially with the offensive line. There's only probably, as of right now, scheduled free agents. There's only 2 decent centers that are going to potentially become free agents, and one of them is a power guy, and the other one is a zone guy. So, kind of depends on what kind of system this offense transitions to next year, and the guard market is probably not going to be that much better. So, maybe you can draft one of those interior linemen day 2, day 3, something like that. But there's definitely plenty of opportunities to build up around Bryce Young. And then the other concern a lot of folks have is the coaching staff. And, we talked about that. I think it's pretty clear that there'll be a new coaching staff in place. So we'll see what happens.
Coaching search again, baby.
I don't know.
Let's get it.
I don't know if I can.
No, I want it. This is going to be a good one, though. This can be a good one.
I mean, I know it's early. It just doesn't seem we have the same number of names being generated.
Crazy as hell.
But maybe that'll kind of get hot and heavy in January.
There's a lot of names. Lot.
It's just
fun.
Maybe I'm just not hearing it, but
be a lot, man. It'd be exciting. Get your game face on for it.
Yeah, see, I mean, I guess it's just I haven't really dug into it to see who's going to be the hot names, who's going to be the kind of coach to go after. I mean, there's a couple of the big names, obviously, but
not going to be competing with as many teams either because there were so many last year. No, I mean, no, last year there were 10 new hires?
Yes, I mean, it's going to be Indy, Denver. I don't think Vegas is going to let go of
Los
Josh
Angeles.
McDaniels.
Maybe Los Angeles if they fall out the playoffs.
Yeah, with Staley.
Yeah, if they fall out the playoffs.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not going to be very. And then
Arizona.
Carolina. Yeah, Arizona, Carolina. So
what are you talking about? They got the coach of the year in Carolina, Steve Wilkes, baby. Serious. He'd get a vote from me. Get a top 5 vote. I don't know what the ballot looks like, but he get a vote from me. Ben Johnson, hearing that name a lot. Oh, no.
Yeah. Shane Stratton out of Carolina. Yeah, I mean, I get the
more D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico is always going to be at the top of everybody's list. He's going to be the most popular name at this point in time, and he's going to be very choosy.
Jonathan Gannon.
I just don't know that he'd be willing to come interview with Houston again after the way things went sideways with that last year.
Come on, Jack's gone.
Left him out to dry.
Jack's gone.
Okay. Golf going crazy. Would love that for Bryce. Yeah, Ben Johnson's got that Lions offense rocking and rolling. Put it all over Minnesota this past weekend. The books were all over that one when they had them as 2-point favorites going into that. I just hope they get the right staff in place. Yeah, don't we all? All right, let's see.
Mike Kafka.
Yeah. There's your boy up in Indianapolis, Ventrone.
Bubba Ventrone.
Yeah, there'll be some names. Got another request over on Spaces, so we'll jump over to the flashy QB.
Damn.
Boss.
That's a hell of a name there.
Yeah. Take yourself off mute. There you go.
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight, man?
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to drop in and drop my 2 cents. Let's see, pretty much a lot of what I was thinking and feeling and whatever Joey kind of already said and everything. But as he was saying earlier, it's like a Twitter fan base or whatever that's in my opinion, are being very childishly disingenuous about this situation. It's like the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, like, all you gotta do is just keep it simple. Like, it's this ridiculous debate between getting Bryce and trying to build a roster and then try to get your quarterback at the last minute. Well, like, that's not going to work, because if you so-called try to build a roster and everything to try to make the perfect situation for a quarterback to come in or whatever, you're basically going to be the 11 to 16 Texans again. A good team with a good roster, whatever, but you don't have a star quarterback to show for it and everything. So it's like you kind of hustling backwards or whatever. I mean, we need upgrades on both sides of the ball, but the most important upgrade that you have to concentrate on is the quarterback. So, like, just keep it simple and just get Bryce, and then here's another thing. Like, there's a lot of fans that they try to make it seem like if you get Bryce, it's all over. You don't have any more money. You don't have any more picks. It's all over. You messed up the Texans forever and everything. Like, no. We got 11 picks this year, man. I mean, you get Bryce at 1, you still got 10 more picks, and you might get more when you trade away Cooks or make some other trades.
I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot for Cooks. I don't think you get a whole lot, but no, your enthusiasm is matching up with Joey and what we've been talking about here tonight, man. You're right on it as well. I mean,
right.
Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Don't get cute.
Yeah. And then this whole thing about waiting for Caleb Williams. I mean, like, look, you get more value when you take Bryce at 1. I mean, like, why would you give up all your future assets to try to get the so-called generational QB for next year or whatever? I mean, I'm gonna give you a prime example. Back in 2011, when Andrew Luck was supposed to come out or whatever, but he decided to stay. You didn't see the Carolina Panthers say, like, "Oh, let's take again for Andrew Luck." No, no, we need a quarterback. We're gonna go ahead and take him. I mean, they kept it simple, know.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate it.
Cam ended up being MVP. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, this whole Caleb Williams thing.
Yeah.
Cap entertains it a lot more than I.
Yeah, that's all right. I did have one change of topics. I had a question for you, Landry. So we see Odell Beckham talking about now he doesn't even want
Jerry Rice in his prime.
Doesn't want to sign. Now it was I'll just wait till the playoffs, and then now there was another report that he may wait till 2023 because he's not getting the opportunity or the right spot that he was looking for this year. And I just wonder if we start to see that type of veteran mercenary kind of thing, like maybe JJ Watt does something like that next year, just skip training camp, skip the first half of the season, let the body rest, and kind of pick and choose the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season to sign somewhere, wait for an injury to happen, something like that, and sign with the playoff team and try to make the run. And I just wonder if that's going to be any type of players are going to see what Beckham's doing and try to do something similar in the future. I wanted to kind of get your take on that.
Well, Beckham has a torn ACL. So, I mean, he's hurt. I think if Beckham had been able to play sooner, I don't think this is like some sort of like strategic thing. I think he does just want to come back for the playoffs, but I think the injury has as much to do with it as like some sort of like well-calculated plan. If he never got hurt, I think he's back with the Rams. And I don't think they signed Allen Robinson, and I think he's there. So I don't think it's going to start some sort of trend or anything.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Now, I do think players, a lot of vets like to skip camp. Like that. That does happen.
Yeah. And I mean,
shout out to Jadeveon Clowney, the king of that.
Yeah, him and Bus. They got that game plan down pat. I think the biggest thing with this team is coaching. Yeah, we've been talking about that. I think it's pretty clear. Moving on. Definitely moving on. One other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on was the fines for the Bengals and the Saints with faking injuries.
Thank you. Good.
Just thank you. Just glad to get that out there.
Yeah, good.
Glad they did it.
Happens too much. Too bad you can't find colleges because that's where they do it the most. But I mean, it is a slippery slope because you don't want to make that like some sort of judgment call where you know referees are in charge of it or anything like that. But as far as like investigating things, they spend all this time investigating quarterback hits and all that type of stuff. Like if they can like tangibly prove that the faking injuries is happening, find their ass, man. Find their ass. I like it. They need to do something about that. And I actually give the NFL credit for it because I think the NBA's done a terrible job of handling flopping. I know they've acted like they've tried to like make some sort of effort for it, but it's still a big part of the game. So the NFL always seems kind of like a step ahead when it comes to rules. They explore, like there's actual like exploring of rules, and if it doesn't work, then they go back to the way it was. I think this is a good job by the NFL to stop that shit because it happens way too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the player of Cincinnati, I guess it was Bates, maybe. I mean, he walked off just fine. It was pretty clear that.
Unless Cincinnati had some of that holy water where he was ready to go shortly after. Sometimes they take a drink of water. That was that Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade looks like he's dead. Gets a swig of that Miami holy water, and he's going full speed. He's going faster than he was before.
Goodness gracious, man. See if there's any other comments, questions on here you guys think. Andre Johnson will have an official role with the team.
He doesn't want to coach.
No, he got a taste of that and realized that's not for him. No, I mean, I don't know what you would have him do as an official capacity. I think you kind of keep him doing what he's doing, kind of that ambassador type.
He's there a lot, man. Like he's doing a great job. He's there a lot. So, I mean, I don't think he needs an official title, and I don't know that he really wants an official title.
No, I think he wants to be able to come and go as he wants.
Dre just kind of moves at his own speed, man.
Yep. And
he hated Jack, which is okay by me because I hate Jack too.
Yeah, there was more than a few players that disliked Mr. Easterby.
Yes, there were. Yes, there were.
The name escapes me. The defensive end that went to San Francisco.
Charles Omenihu.
Yes. I can't believe they haven't re-signed him yet. He's been playing pretty good.
He's been playing really good.
Yeah.
Enjoying himself out there, it appears.
Yeah, he's a free agent. Kind of very surprised that they haven't re-signed him. I mean, they're not hurt for cap space or anything next year, so maybe they'll get him back under. But
I thought it was funny when Lovie said, it was maybe 2 weeks ago, he was like, if you're a defensive lineman and you can play, we'll find a spot for you on the field. And I was like, unless your name's Charles Omenihu.
Yeah. I always just lean back to that time at training camp when Easterby goes down the line giving his little fives, and he'd get to Menahu, and Menahu just gave him that look like.
I told you too, didn't I?
Yeah, you were like, man, watch this.
I was like watching Menahu when Easterby tries to give him a five.
He's like, move on, man. I miss having star power on this team, don't we all? Man, that was a good run time when you had Watt and Hopkins and even
Watson.
Foster. Sorry.
Watson.
Yeah, sorry. Hopkins, Watt, Foster, AJ. Yeah, I mean, we all missed we'll edit that part out. We all missed the star power on this team. And, maybe we'll get back. Bryce Young will be step one of getting the star power back. And maybe the Texans tax will go away. And, they can start getting some players back in here that bring the fan base back in. We kind of all hoped 2022 would be the start of that, but now we're really hoping that 2023 will be the start of that and start getting back to where this team used to be and competing and in an upward trajectory, and none of this one-win seasons anymore. That's really all I had tonight. I didn't have a whole lot on the list.
Damn, man. Thought you had a full run sheet.
I did, but it just kind of went through them really quickly.
Well, you were in a mood today.
Yeah. Pierce out a few weeks. Should he go to IR?
Yes. Shut him down. You know, I bet McLean $100 that Pierce wouldn't have 1,000.
He's 61 yards short, man.
Shut him down. Shut down Stingley. Shut down Cooks.
I don't understand why they haven't put Stingley on IR. I just don't get it. I mean, he's going to miss 4 games. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a week-to-week thing. Play it safe.
I don't know. But yeah, Pierce needs to just go ahead and shut him down. Cooks is going to ride it out. He's
going to do what?
He's going to ride out the clock. I don't think he's going to play anymore this year. But yeah, it makes no sense to bring back Pierce at this point. I don't know how important it is to a player, specifically a running back, to get that 1,000-yard season.
These days, does it matter?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how big of a deal it is. You know,
I mean, regardless of what a big deal it is, you're not gonna throw out. I mean, because the problem with it's not a problem. It's great. Dameon Pierce is going to play one way. I mean, he wanted to tape up the ankle seconds after he got hurt. He set his ass on the ground. He didn't even try to sit on the bench. He set his ass on the ground trying to get taped up. So he only knows one way to play ball. And you got to protect him from himself. There's really not a lot of payoff to putting DP out there anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree. Steven Nelson is good. Give Caceres kudos.
I did. I said earlier this week, and I said it on the show. They set out to improve the secondary. They improved the secondary. They did an excellent job at that. They did a really good job. And I think Caserio does deserve credit for that. They got some depth too. I mean, Tremont Smith, by the way, he's on In the Loop tomorrow. Sports Radio 610.
His first defensive snaps of the year. You know, he's a free agent next year, and I mean, Owens is a decent depth guy.
He's a good backup safety.
Yeah. Same with MJ Stewart.
Hell of a hit by Owens.
Him and Petrie both were.
That Owens play though was nasty.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Yeah. No, there's good depth. They just need one more piece back there to kind of put it over the top. But, you know, Nelson's under contract for next year, and hopefully his play will continue on. I think Tavier Thomas will be somebody they try to re-sign. They wanted to re-sign him prior to the injury at the start of the season. So I think they're gonna try to get him back. He's already back to his full ways. Desmond King's under contract next year. So there's some decent depth at the secondary as a whole, like you talked about. But the safety position, Murray's going to be gone.
Thank God, finally.
I mean, he's technically under contract next year, but I don't see any reason why to bring him back. And then you can look at re-signing Owens or Stewart, or, you know, look elsewhere. There'll be a few safeties out there in free agency. Not too many big names, but I think – see, we got Jesse Bates out of Cincinnati.
Nope. Too expensive.
Yeah. He's playing on the franchise tag.
Yeah,
Jordan Poyer out of Buffalo. He's always hurt.
Nope.
He's always 32.
He's
Jimmy
too
Ward,
little. He's too little. They need someone a little bit like sideline to sideline.
Adrian Amos. He's 30 years old. Goodness. Is there any safeties that are under 30 coming? AJ Moore? No. Golly, and Terrell Edmonds. That was one player that I'd wanted Houston to go after this past offseason, but they didn't, and he's playing decent. But it's, once again, going to be a pretty bear market when it comes to free agency at some of the positions. We'll definitely get a deep dive into potential options.
Little Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M. He's going to the draft.
Look at this one. If Tav gets re-signed, I'm getting his jersey. Right. I love it, TJ.
Who?
And Tavier Thomas. If Tavier Thomas gets re-signed, he's getting his jersey.
How about Antonio Johnson? How you feel about that? Add a little SEC flavor. Antonio Johnson and Petrie. First pick of the second round. Nah, you got to go offense. I want all offense.
Yeah, no, I think there's.
But yeah, Antonio's good.
I think that would really kind of go along with the whole fan base thing, where you just get a lot of explosion on the running back, another wide receiver to replace Cooks, to pair with Collins and John Mechie, which I think somebody asked about Mechie earlier. There's really not a whole lot to report on him. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think you can really rev up this fan base if you can come out of the first 3 rounds or the first 4 rounds with a combination of, there's going to be a couple good tight ends as well. There's
Bryce Young,
plenty of options that you can go with.
Smith and Jigba or Addison.
Yeah.
And Gibbs. Gibbs falls to the second. So you get Bryce Young, Smith and Jigba or Addison, and then Gibbs. And then let's eat.
Yeah. No, that would be
let's grub.
A very fun, young, explosive offense for sure.
Let's grub. Let's get it.
Get Collins out there, get Mechie back. Find another tight end to pair up with because Teagan.
Third round kid from Utah, or trade up. Use those multiple thirds. Go get the kid from Utah because he's going second round. He ain't going first. He's going second. He's a badass. Get him.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a more not an inline guy. He's more of a wide receiver body type of tight end, if my memory serves me correctly. But you already got Teagan, who's actually hasn't been that bad.
He looks like a guy who can be a third tight end.
Yeah, I think he's a good blocker.
He surprised me.
The way, especially how he started out at camp. He's really come on back half of the year, and so
good dude too. Talk to him after the game. He's a very, 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 very quiet guy.
Yeah, I don't know if there's OJ Howard or Akins are going to be players that you want to bring back.
Juice Man's kind of disappointed me. Started out on fire.
Yeah, he's kind of disappeared, and
he gone.
His performance has gone downhill. I think he's
Akins. I could bring back Akins on a 1-year deal. For sure. Akins 1 year. Now it's going to be a different system. So
but you bring him back from camp and see if he can compete for one of the spots. But you definitely want to continue to get younger, more explosive, as many positions as possible. We should be where'd Landry go? There. Appearance by Pacey. We should be talking about being bad for Marvin Harrison Jr. See, that's the same thing. We'll worry about that next year.
There's too many good receivers to where you don't need to worry about that. You got Smith and Jigba, you got Addison, you got Johnston, you got Mims. There's a lot of good receivers.
Yeah, no,
there's all that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a place that you need to be trying to tank for.
No, let's stop.
No.
Let's stop.
Yeah.
We got a full draft, got an extra first round pick, and we're doing all this.
Yeah. You don't take for a wide receiver. That's right. Darnell Washington, better than Mayer. Notre Dame tight end at 12. That was Todd McShay today.
That ain't happening.
No.
That ain't happening.
He's a good tight end. I just don't.
Baby Gronk.
Houston should be going with tight end that early, considering all the other needs that they have.
They're in a money spot. Like if they fought,
man, that's a great point. That the way the board just kind of sits today, that 10 to 15 spot is just, there's going to be tons of choices there. So maybe you can find somebody that wants to trade up, or you'll just have a great selection option of multiple options right there in that middle of the round if you decide to stay there.
Yeah, and even if you wanted to get extra seconds or something with that and just keep trading back, you could do it, man. And that's where I think you're sitting in a spot with the first pick in the second round, which by the way is the 32nd instead of 33rd this year.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a money spot where you can. It's not going to happen with the running backs, but you could maybe get the best safety in the draft. You can maybe get the best tight end in the draft. You can maybe get the best guard in the draft. You can maybe get the best center in the draft. There's going to be a lot of value there, but the positions that aren't valued that can make big impacts with the fact that, day one concludes and then you get to sleep on it and you sit there, you're going to be that's exciting to me. I'm a second round whore, dude, because the first round, we have a pretty good idea what's going to happen in the first round for 4 months. And we're talking about it all the time. And there's like an occasional trade, but there are surprises, but you have like a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. Second round, you don't know, man. The little, it just takes a little surprise and then boom. I wish they had a couple seconds, man. If they could trade and get like another second, like if they could trade back, like let's say they're sitting there at 15 and someone likes, let's say that Richardson falls and someone wants to roll the dice on Richardson. You trade back to the 20s and you get their second or something like that, and maybe like a third. That's where you really, really, really can do some work. Really do some work.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it plenty of times. That's exactly where a team can really find exceptional value. You know, the decay in the contract value from number 1 overall pick to 15 down to pick 35 to 45 to 60 is just, there's a ton of value there. I mean, you really can get a good player, or you can get a really good cost controlled player at that point. And if, like you've talked about, if you're moving back from pick 15, pick 12 as it currently is, if you were to move back from 12 to say like 18 and pick up, like say you wanted to move back with the Jets or somebody like that who was at pick 18 and you're at pick 12, you trade back with them, move back to 18, get their number 49 pick, which is their second rounder. And, maybe might have to do like a day 3 swap or something like that. For the most part, it's a fairly good trade. And like you said, right there, you're picking up your another second rounder, and you move back only 6 spots, and you're still going to have an optimal player to pick up at slot 18. So I think you're right on it. I mean, that's going to be, if Cleveland ends up where, in that 15 range, there's going to be so many options.
And you're also in a range where, if, like, let's say you use your 2 picks, but let's say that you get to 22, you get to 23, you like somebody. I mean, you could, what are you giving up? An extra 3 to move up into the first round and get an extra year on the rookie contract? Like, if you like Gibbs out of Alabama at running back, or you like Johnson, the safety out of A&M, you like someone else. I mean, with that 1-2 first pick of the second round, what are you really having to give up?
Yeah, I think
you're
like
trading up 10 spots at that point.
Yeah, Minnesota, I think when they traded up for Bridgewater, they gave their 4th round. They moved up from 40 to 32, and they gave up their 4th round pick to make that move.
Exactly. I mean,
to move up 8 spots.
That's worth it. So, and then if they did that and they gave up their 4th to move up 8 spots from 32 to 22 or whatever, 26, whatever, you still have 2/3 too. So you could probably get back in the mix in the second. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
To pick 32 have the 5th year option. So yes. So the way it's going to work is,
wait, so the Texans will have a 5th year option on pick 32?
No.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying. There's only 31 first round picks is what he's asking.
Right. There's 31 picks, but Miami's the one that's forfeited, right? So if say they're pick 20, the 11 teams behind them don't just slide up 1 slot. They still just pick 20 is still gone. It will just be gone. And the next team will start at 21, 22.
He's asking if the second round pick gets a 5th year option because it's in the top 32.
Oh, no.
And it wouldn't be. So
okay,
no. The answer is no.
The 32nd pick will still be in the 33 slot.
Yeah.
It'll just be the 32nd player coming off the board.
Yeah, but so no, they don't get that. That would be crazy.
Yeah, they don't move up 1 slot. It's just they eliminate the slot that's forfeited and everybody stays in their slots. The draft money still stays the same, things like that.
Yuppers.
We got to address one of center, right guard, or defensive tackle in free agency.
They will.
Yeah, the defensive tackle is probably going to have the most options when it comes to free agency. The team got a taste of it with Hargrave, with Hargrave, and then with Payne out of Washington. I think those are probably going to be the 2 biggest names, and then probably Sheldon Rankins out of New York, and then Ashawn Robinson, even though he's hurt, will probably be another popular name on free agency. Probably not quite the money that Hargrave and Payne are going to command, but that's going to probably be your biggest names. They're going to be available. I don't see Washington trying to re-sign Payne. I could be completely wrong, but I don't see the point in them trying to re-sign him when they're already paying Jonathan Allen a lot of money on the interior as well. And then beyond that, you get the players kind of a little bit older. You know, J.J. Watt, like we talked about, Fletcher Cox, Akeem Hicks. Those players are all, and they're going to be in their mid-30s at this point. Now, Hargrave's already 30, so I think you can definitely make a little bit of hay in free agency. You're just gonna have to pick and choose, and there's some spots where you can pick and choose at.
No doubt.
I can see the team moving down with the second number one pick, not the second number one pick, not the first. Yeah, no, they're not moving down out of one. There's no way. Thanks for clearing that up, Landry. Drawing pain, my dream. Yeah, sure.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it will be. Well, I think this might be the year that we see Caserio, go after a free agent.
We'll see.
Beyond,
be nice.
Beyond the back end players that they've. Payne or Hargrave going to want to come here.
There's a tax. There's definitely going to be a tax. No doubt.
The Texans tax will be in effect.
AKA the Christian Kirk Jags tax. Although he looks pretty good.
Yeah. It was good to kind of push the market up for everybody else as well. So if a team offers 3 firsts to move up to 1, are y'all trading back? No. I think you've got plenty of first round picks already. Like we talked about earlier, don't get cute. Nope. Just take the player and go.
Yep.
Yuppers. What you got to do it. Yep. All right.
All right, man.
That was a good chat there at the end.
Yeah, good job, man. I'm glad you started enjoying yourself. I love when you enjoy yourself.
How did that happen? No more Kevin Pierre. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No more of those. At this point, I'd rather just sign a couple of really strong free agents and then have a big undrafted class or something like that.
Watch this. Watch this light. Boom. Off. Did you notice anything? Oh, no. Turn off the light. It's all good.
No, I didn't see.
Okay. It's all good, man. Tremont Smith.
Tomorrow on In the Loop. Make sure you subscribe to Landry's YouTube channel, The Locker Room.
Yes, sir. Please. Locker Room on YouTube. Just subscribe. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 before the end of the year. Need y'all. Doing it every day. Okay. Not every other day.
Trying to get to 200 myself. Don't have quite the
get into the 200.
Yeah, 200 is the goal for us. And then
shout out to Cody Stutes. He's got one going too.
Yep.
Digital games getting strong.
Yep. Hey, when you can, you know what? I'm not going to say it.
Locker Room on YouTube. Yeah, I know what you're going to say later.
But yeah. So no, I appreciate everybody listening in. Appreciate everybody over on Twitter Spaces. A lot of good interactions with the folks. We always appreciate those. Ton of comments coming through, and had a good time as always. Landry, I appreciate it, sir.
All right, I appreciate you, man. Later.
All right, y'all have a good evening, and we'll shut it down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.